You are now rocking with the best Illmatic Podcast with your host, Lillie Ennis. Surviving beats, overcoming breaks. We got motion. Your go-to podcast unpacking hip-hop, trauma, and transformation.
What's up, world? This is your man, Lilie. You know me by doing criminal justice reform work. You know me by dabbling in a little bit of film. This is my new venture, our new endeavor, Illmatic Podcast, surviving beats, overcoming breaks. We're going to be having very dynamic conversations with people with lived experience. We're going to be talking about trauma. We're going to be talking about the influence of hip hop. We're going to be talking about baby mama drama. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Get it wherever you stream, YouTube, all of that. You already know what it is. Stay tuned. Peace.
Until next time, like, subscribe, share. Illmatic Podcast. Overcoming beats, surviving breaks. See you next time.
What's up, y'all? This is your man, Lilie, back with another episode of the Illmatic Podcast. This is where you want to be. You do not want to touch this dial. Surviving beats, overcoming breaks. I'm here today with a special guest co-host and a special guest, cat that I know for a long period of time. But before we get into who he is, let's get into who our co-host is. The lovely, very young lady. Notice the operative word I said, very young.
I like
lady.
that.
Yeah, you like that? You like that? Tell the people who you are.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, First Lady Lillie Ennis, serial entrepreneur. And
that means you eat cereal as you
something like that. Gotta have it every day.
Okay.
A little bit of,
Okay.
No, but I run several businesses.
Yeah.
I won't get into how many, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm excited to have you on. Also, a very young gentleman to my immediate left. Tell the people who you are.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kaison. I go by Big Gucci K.
Got it. So we have a very unique relationship, Kaison.
Yeah.
In that, because we're related.
Yeah, you my dad.
Okay. Say it one more time for the people in the back. You know the vibes.
You know how we do.
Yeah, so this is my son. So we got a very dynamic relationship, very unique relationship. You're my son. I'm your father.
Mm-hmm.
Last DNA told me 99.9.999%. But we're going to have a conversation today about what our relationship has been like, how me being incarcerated for 14 years, how that impacted your life, and what it is that you're doing now. How does it sound? How does that feel?
I'm with it.
That's a good. That's a good
I love
vibe.
having a conversation with you. You know that.
All right, cool. So I did 14 years, Lilie. And during the time that I was away, when I went to prison, Kaison was about 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
About 3 or 4 years old. What was it like for you to have me be away at such an early age in life?
How was it? Truthfully, I don't want to say it was hard, but like young men do need their fathers.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, like.
But how do you need me though? How did you need me?
I needed you to guide me, tell me right from wrong. Like when we too hard on mommy, women could do but so much. Like the man got to step in and like tell us what's right from wrong. She only could do but so much. So I needed you in that department right there. Other departments too, like, learning how to become a man and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of like missed out on a lot of places that you could have like filled in.
Did you?
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Did you understand where he was and what was going on?
Sure,
was that
sure.
explained to you at a
My
young
mom
age?
was the type of person, she never sugarcoated anything when it came to my dad. That's why I feel like we were strong at. Like she always let us know, this is where your dad is. This is how long he's doing. She always made sure we went up there to go see him at all times.
How long was that drive?
Oh gosh.
Upstate New York, Buffalo?
Yeah. No, I was in Raybrook.
Raybrook?
I was in Ray. It was right near Canada.
We would leave the house probably 2 a.m, get there
That's like an 8-9 hour drive.
Get there by like 8 o'clock in the morning for the first meeting.
So I just saw that you had a response. You had a response. You had an expressive response, Lilie, when he said having to leave the house at 2 o'clock in the morning. As a mother, your mom, right?
Yes.
As a mother, how did that resonate with you when he just said that he had to leave the house at 2 o'clock in the morning just to be at a visit at approximately 8-9 o'clock in the morning? What was going on through your mind?
I'm just thinking of preparing, 2 boys, right?
Yeah.
And just going out in the middle of the night where, it's not that safe. And then just the sacrifice needed and just taking that trip. Most oftentimes she was alone, right? With just you two.
Yeah.
And that to me, it seems like a lot, but it also shows love.
Yeah. Mommy has some love for you for sure.
She still got some love. She still got
nothing.
love. She still got the house for me, to be honest with you.
to get to that, so we 2 in the morning, packing sandwiches, snacks.
Right.
And it wasn't just me and my brother. I have a little sister that my dad, he looks at her as his own too. So it was us
That's
three.
beautiful.
This is before GPS and phones.
This is back when you had to
When you had to hold the map.
Yeah, print out the map. And get the highlighter. Yeah.
Oh my
like
goodness.
that. So if sometimes it would be somebody from my dad's side of the family that would come with us that wanted to go see him. Most of the time it was just us. My mom looking at the map. We still young.
You just gave me a vision with the whole map thing because really and truly there was probably only radio then too, right?
Yeah.
Yep. CDs.
CDs at that time?
CDs.
Okay.
I didn't go in prison in like the 1800s. I went into the 2000s.
I'm just trying to put the time frames together.
We're talking about 2000.
No, because I know I went through that era of just seeing like tapes, CDs, and then digital. So I was trying to place.
I used to have the big books with the CDs. You flip the My mom used to have us throwing the CDs in just to keep her up while she driving. My oldest brother, he's still young too, so he can't really look at the map and tell her, all right, you get off this exit. So she doing everything
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah. I'm curious, Kaison, because I want to come back to that, but I want to back up just a little bit. What was your earliest memories of me? What's your earliest childhood memory?
Jail. Honestly, like I don't remember you being because I was so young when you went in. I don't remember you being home. Like vividly remember you jumpsuit, the tan jumpsuit and boots on.
He said the color
like
tan.
vividly. Like I can't even remember.
So you don't remember birthdays or Christmases?
No, like I can't even remember a time you would have like a regular outside shirt on until you came home. Wow. My only vivid memory was you in a tan jumpsuit. That's all I knew.
And when you say that your earliest memory of me is being incarcerated, being in the system, when you think about how your other siblings have functional memories of me, birthdays because they were a little bit older, how did you feel about that emotionally? I
didn't feel any way about it at all. No. Because I feel like it was still cut short too with them too. Maybe it was by maybe 1 or 2 birthdays, but then it was just like that. So it's not like it was the same for me. Like you probably was there for 1 birthday, but it was the same for them. 1 birthday, 2 birthdays. Yeah. Then it was cut quick with boom, gone just like that. Yeah. So no, I didn't feel no way about that.
Lilie, you got 2 boys.
Yes.
Have you had this similar experience with their dad?
No.
No?
He was never incarcerated.
Got it. Have you ever been involved with somebody who's been incarcerated?
No.
No? All right, she's like, don't write me, don't DM me.
Well, I remember
public service announcement.
There was only one time that I visited a jail, and I remember telling my dad, don't ever bring me back there.
So your dad was locked up?
No, my uncle was. My uncle, his brother was locked up. And I remember he was facing deportation and all kinds of stuff. So that's why my dad was like rushing to get the whole family there. I remember it being a long drive. And then I remember the first time being searched.
Yeah.
And I must have been like, wow, I can't believe you asked me this. I forgot about this until you asked me just now.
Yeah.
I must have been like 7 or 8 years old. And after seeing him and not understanding why he couldn't come home, And just that whole experience, it was so cold. And as a little girl, people used to speak to me very nicely, always kind. It was just like very structured, very militant. Yeah. And I remember telling my dad, don't ever bring me back. And I know that they went to go visit and he kind of tried to force me again. And I said, I'm not going back.
Yeah. Which is also interesting because Kaison, there would be times where his siblings would go up to see me in the prison and he wouldn't go.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It was more so like, as I got older, I wasn't forced to go, and I knew like my dad's time in jail was coming to an end, so I didn't really like, I didn't feel the need because I'm like, he coming home soon. But after a while, it was just like, it's stressful, like driving up there, and then when I was younger, it was like, I want my dad to come with us, and then we can't come back. I'm like, why you can't come? And my mom got to tell me he can't come. That was stressful for me. Like, and I hated seeing my dad like after like that. I'm like,
you internalized it differently.
Yeah. So as I got older, I'm like, now I know my dad really can't come with me when I go up there. I'm definitely not going back. If I can't take my dad with me, I ain't going up there, period.
Right.
What was that like for you to be in school or to be around your peers, or around friends, and to have a father incarcerated? The reason why I'm asking that question, Lilie, is his cousin, who is like my niece. I remember one time the local police department, in collaboration with the FBI, they did a violence deterrent thing in the local schools. And they were talking about some of the people who had got locked up for using guns and being violent in the street, et cetera. And my face flashed across the screen.
Oh, wow.
Mika, talking about Mika. Yeah. And she had a reaction to that. And she's like, he's not violent. That's my uncle.
Right.
And I remember the visit where they came to see me afterwards, where she was still visibly and emotionally hurt by that experience. Yeah. And so for you, what was that like for you to be able to have a father who's incarcerated, to have friends, and your mom is showing up to school and maybe somebody else might show up, but I'm not there. What was that like?
It wasn't bad, because as bad as it sounds, most of my friends' dads was locked up too.
Wow.
So it was like, that's in the Black community, your father is either two places. If he not in your life, he either in jail or he dead.
Yeah.
So
or on drugs.
Yeah, on drugs. But most of my friends, they dads was in jail too. So we kind of connected. We could relate. And then I'm telling them why my dad in jail, and they telling me why they dad in jail. So it was like we was kind of telling each other stories and stuff. We stick together like that.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding. Yeah. Oh, my dad in jail. Your dad in jail too. What your dad in jail for? So I'm telling them, my dad in jail for this. How long he got? Your dad got this. Well, my dad got 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Lilie, I'm thinking about this because off camera we were talking about your children. One of your sons is a DJ. Another one of your son is a basketball player.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about the conversations that they have with their peers. Look nothing like the conversation that he had at that age with his peers.
Right.
There's no relation. How were you able to, in effect, raise children, and not only just raise children, to help them navigate through the things that Kaison wasn't exposed to, but also be able to bring children into this world with someone who wasn't exposed to the criminal justice system, especially considering Black, brown, and poor white statistics out there, et cetera?
It's so funny because it brings me to a point where my oldest son, they were bullying him at one point. I want to say he was in 6th or 7th grade, and he went to Park City Magnet. So it was a charter school. They had to wear uniforms. So the uniform dress code was white shirt, blue pants, and black sneakers. And so he had several sneakers, but his school sneakers were his school sneakers. Yeah. And this one little boy was just picking on him. And he's like, Mom, I'm going to do this. And I said, be kind. Well, how are you telling me to be kind? He's bullying me. And he didn't understand why. And then I said to him, listen, those are your school sneakers. He doesn't understand that. They were making fun because he wore the same sneakers all year round, not realizing this little boy makes his own money at this point. He has a lot. And I said to him, I know the little boy that's bullying you. He doesn't have a good family situation. Be kind. And I know he was so pissed at me in the moment. And I said to him, you'll be surprised a lot of people you come across that are maybe a little rough around the edges like that, they need love. They're going through different situations. And it's so crazy, but I didn't verbalize to him exactly what was going on because I felt like I didn't want to tell that little boy's business. I didn't want to tell him his daddy's in jail. And he's just probably missing out on something or upset about something and he's taking it out on you or maybe he envies you. But it's so crazy how I didn't feel comfortable saying that, but I taught my sons how to empathize with different people's situations.
My mom taught me that too, but she would never I never did the bullying or I didn't lash out because my dad was in jail. Like you said, some people, they do that because they're having trouble at home.
Right.
And,
they miss somebody.
They miss somebody. But the way my mom kept us grounded, it was to the point where we didn't have to do that because she always listen, your dad's not there, but I'm here for you. So I didn't have to lash out in those ways because I didn't doing all that stuff. That was just my age, bullying and stuff. We used to.
It's almost like at your situation. You were blessed to grow up in love, but most people in your situation were growing up on survival. So the reactions and their relationships are different.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you said, Kaison, you said that he needed love.
Yeah.
In the situation where Lillie's son was being bullied, what did love look like? What did your need for love look like when your dad was incarcerated?
First of all, father figure for sure. So you weren't there, but I still had my grandfather. I still had my stepfather, Fonzie. So there was always a male figure around me to make sure, to keep me grounded. Listen, your dad is still here, but you got this right here. You got this right here. If this don't work, you got this. I had different department of men in my life to keep me grounded and everything. So I feel like that's what keeps everything level. If a kid doesn't have a father figure when their dad is in jail, that's when everything goes left, honestly.
What were your needs like for your dad, or what was the difference between your needs as little boy and then teenager version of you?
The teenager version of him. I'm ready to jump in there, but I'm going to go ahead and let him answer that.
Go ahead. I'm just curious to know. Which do you feel
I love little boy version and I love the grown man version.
That was a good question.
That teenage version, that was a...
I got elaborate. So, little boy me needed him there. Teenager boy, I needed space. And I say that it's a difference because when he left, I was little. So when he came home, he just remembered me as the little boy, but I'm already 16, 17, but I need the space.
And in your mind, you think you're 40.
Yeah. So
And what was that space? Let's keep it 100. Yeah. What did needing that space actually look like?
Bumping heads, fighting. Us saying things to each other. I needed some space for me because it was like when you first came home, I want to be up under you and everything, but it was like you still gotta get to know, you know what I'm saying? When you left, I'm little. This is a whole different Kaison now.
It's an adjustment.
This is big Gucci right here.
I'm big Gucci right now.
For real. So it took him a while to get adjusted to that. That was a big stepping stone for my dad.
Do you feel that you also purposely wanted to rebel a little bit?
Dang, did I purposely want to?
Cue the Jeopardy music.
Not really, but I would say I did it to get my point across sometimes. Sometimes if my dad is not understanding me, I'm a lash out. Yeah, you gonna understand me one way or another. So
how long did that adjustment phase take? Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say to my early 20s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because when you 16, 17, 18, you still a teenager. When you hit 18, you just an adult. You know what I'm saying? You just legal. But when you become 21, you're a grown man. 25, that's when you know what I'm saying? It's different. So around that time, I was just but as an adult, that's when I really settled down and really got to understand my dad and his situation and come to terms with it, So it was, I say early 20s.
I love that.
You know what's interesting, Lilie, is because when I came home, all I wanted to do was be around my children. right? And I'm getting a little emotional about this, even thinking about it. I just want to be around my kids because what helped me, what they didn't remember, or they did not understand, what kept me buoyant outside of my faith was my children.
Come on.
We come from a big family. I come from a very, my mother got 9 sisters. I got a whole bunch of first cousins. All I know is family. You see me with somebody, more than likely I'm with my family. I'm with cousins. And so all I wanted to do was be around my kids. And I come home and I've been holding on to this notion for 14 years. This notion that when I get home, I'm going to be with, like, my kids want to be around me all the time. And then to have that notion disrupted or not be what it is that I held on to. What you had
in your mind.
It was a culture shock.
Yeah.
I seen it. I see how it was around that time, especially not with just me, but like my brother and my sisters.
Yeah.
That affected you a lot. That affected you a lot for sure.
I commend you for that because it's so hard sometimes. You have your own thoughts going on. Like, this is what I'm going through. This is how I felt about the situation. But even me as an adult now, I had to recently learn in my 40s to give my dad grace. Yeah. It was the first time I was really able to take the lens off of me and say, if I were just looking at him outside of remembering the fact that he's my dad, and I had to remember, hold on, this man was 18 years old just coming to this country doing this. Yeah. Okay, this man was 18 years old, making these errors, but he also was doing this, right? And it's so hard because you're focusing on your trauma, but then it's like, well, okay, I can give that grace, and that's a beautiful thing. So I never held a grudge
with my dad either.
I love that.
Like how you just explained it, because at the same time you look at it, it's like when you went in, you was young, like you was trying to just make the best life for us the only way you could. Like we wasn't put in the best situation, especially him. Like, so like as I got older, like I never held that against my dad. Like, oh, you went to jail, you left us. Like I just feel like that's wrong because there's always not as a reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but I don't want to say everybody goes to jail for a reason, but like
it's something that drives it.
It's some like
there's a why behind the what.
Yeah. So
there's a why behind the what.
Yeah, like my dad's not put in the best situation, so he.
And when you say not from the best situation, just to be transparent, both of my parents were incarcerated when I'm 5 years old. I am raised by my maternal grandmother. When I'm 13 years old, my sister gets shot in her face by her then boyfriend, who she subsequently has a child with 2 years later. When I'm 14 years old, I get critically shot in my chest, still have a bullet in between my heart and my spine. When I am 15 years old, I have a friend of mine who was 25 at the time, who gets murdered, shot 6 times in his face and head in front of me. When I'm 16 years old, my cousin gets shot 32 times in front of our aunt, in front of his own mother, right? Wow. Not to mention the things that I participated in that the statute of limitations probably has not run out on, right? During the time from 16. I ain't nobody's fool. But in between the age of 16 going up to about 22, when I'm 17 years old, I have 3 different girls pregnant at the same time. I'm functioning from popularity. I'm functioning from a space of having a little bit of money, right? Mm-hmm. These green eyes can get you anything you want. get you into a few places in trouble, right? Depending on which way you frame it. And so, I have him when I'm 19. I already have 3 kids at the age of 17. Now, here it is. I participate in a drive-by shooting that injures a then 5-year-old, a child that was my children's age at the same time. Wow. So then after that, I'm on the run. So even when you do the math, he's about 3 years old when I go in, but I'm on the run for about a year.
Wow.
So the cameo appearances start in his life before I even go into prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's talking about the things that I went through, I just wanted to name it. Those are some of the things that I went through. Not even getting into when I'm incarcerated. 6 months prior to me being released from incarceration, my nephew, his cousin, gets killed.
Wow.
Right? And so all of these different dynamics inform who I am as a person. So I come home and I'm like, yo, you know, my kids don't necessarily know me in this light. They just know me as dad, and maybe stories that they may have heard in passing, right?
Yeah, I want to get on that.
Yeah, go ahead, get into a story.
So, no, we gotta get on that. So,
let me hear this.
Like, now, I feel like coming up, like how he said he was my dad, the popularity and all that stuff, I kind of like, I envy that a lot, knowing that who you were coming up. I envy that a lot. So like,
did people remind you all the time?
Yeah,
like,
oh my gosh,
it was.
So that's why I was thinking about this before we came here. So like, I remember when I would go with his side of the family, like they would like the way they treated me and my brothers and my sisters. We're poo-poos. He go by poo-poo in the family. That's poo-poo.
Wait, listen.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you. Listen. But it's like, not to brag about it, but like, I felt who my dad was by the way we were treated. Like, that's poo-poo kids. The love that they showered us, it was like, it was special for real. Like, cause the way they loved you and they looked at you, he's like a star in the family. He's like the golden child. So the way they treated us, it made me have a big head on my shoulder. What boy? I go to my family house, I know I could get whatever I want from them.
Right.
Like that times was like that. I like that.
Was special.
Yeah, that was
Like,
special. Yeah,
that's my dad.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Sense of pride.
When you got a parent who's somebody in their area, that rings a bell. And then I got a cousin who passed away. He was a somebody nudie. He was a somebody. So I was overly big headed with that because I'm related to these people. And then my mom's side of the family, that's a big side of family in Bridgeport too. You either a Petway or a Bush. Yeah, and we're Bushes.
Yeah.
So that's just the icing on the cake. So you can't tell me nothing. So I envied you a lot. Like my dad locked up. My dad did this. I was like glorifying it at one point in my life. I was kind of glorifying like how you said with the shooting and stuff. Like when we would talk about, my friends would talk about their dad in jail, I used to mention that a lot. Like as bad as it sounds, my dad did a shooting. Like, but we grow up around violence and that, so it was like we trying to see whose dad is the
illest.
Who's the illest? That's how it be. It's like, yo, whose dad is the illest? And that wasn't nothing to glorify. When you get older and you look back at it, it's like, that's lame. You know what I'm saying? But as younger me, we glorify that stuff. Like, your dad only got 5 years. My dad got 14. Your dad in state. My dad in the feds. Like, it was status. It was status, and it was more so status. So you being my dad, I felt like I had some status to me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So I wanna Lilie, it's interesting because the first and only time that I've ever had my kids together at the same time, all of them, was the day that I came home from prison.
Wow.
To date, I have not been able to get all of my kids in one room, in one space.
Not even a birthday, nothing?
Not even a birthday. What? It's either half, it's either...
We're missing one, missing two. And if we're all together, it's not for a long time. It's not for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you guys like not really get along like that?
No, what it is that...
Can I explain it?
Yeah,
you want to explain it?
No.
Yeah, my siblings, y'all not gonna like this, but I gotta keep it real.
Right.
It's different with the boys and the girls. So you asking if we get along with him or do we get along with each other?
With each other.
Now the sibling bond is
okay.
And that's special. I want to share this, and I think that you can appreciate this. One of my children's mother, in particular, made sure that when she was on that road, all of these kids was on that road with her.
For sure.
Right? And she made sure that I stayed alive in the hearts and the minds of my children. She is probably 60 to 70% credited to making sure that these kids grew up, all of my children grew up knowing each other.
She's the reason why I met all my other siblings. Like, It started off, I remember me and my brother got the same mom, so it's just me and him. But when my sisters came along, it was like one day it's boom. Next is like this. But she definitely made sure we were together for every birthday, every trip. She literally like she wanted us to have that bond. Like regardless what my mom and them went through, when it came to the kids, we gotta make sure that's tight
because
right
it was
there.
3 at the same time, so you did have some kind of child.
Yeah, and it was more
drama.
after that though. But we can talk about that in a different episode. That's for the bonus episode. Only by the dragon.
She might get it.
I'm getting the details, right? Okay.
He doubled back with my mom.
Came back for a second portion.
Came back to make But so the sibling bond was tight for sure. The sibling bond was tight. But I can honestly say our relationship with my dad, with me and my brother, and how the girls with their relationships, it's very different.
Are you guys the only 2 boys?
We're the only.
So everything else is girls. Okay. Yeah, girls. Oh, that factors in a lot of other emotions.
So with the boys, me and my dad, we argue, we bump heads, but we can't go a week or 2 without like my fault. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a boy thing. With the girls, y'all very sensitive, emotional.
I ain't talking to you.
Like,
talking to you.
Listen, I ain't trying to get on y'all throat, but I see it firsthand. Like, I really see it firsthand, and I feel like father relationships. I don't want to be biased, but it might affect girls more than it affect boys.
I think it affects both equally, just in different ways.
Different way.
How so? How so?
Because, okay, oh gosh. So, for example, I just made amends with my dad recently, literally this year in January.
After how long?
Oh, on and off having issues, I want to say, since I was probably 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
Was he always in your life, or it was an on and off thing?
So he was always in my life, but I seen my mom struggle too much. And to me, I just didn't respect a man that would continue to create children. No, he couldn't take care of me, and I was first. That's a problem for me. And then what I noticed was that I'm divorced. Once I terminated my marriage, I started to really date because I was with my ex-husband from when I was 17 years old. So I was still a little girl. That's all I knew. And so now here Lilie is learning how to date in her late 30s. And I realized that certain patterns or things that I was accepting of even in my marriage, I was just like, yo, I'm a better bitch than this. Like, why am I accepting this, you know? And I realized that a lot of those issues stemmed from him. Like, even just my work ethic. Yeah, I could say I have a great work ethic, but a lot of it is survival mode because I couldn't depend on him financially. I didn't see him hold my mother down. I don't know what it's like to be spoiled. I had to spoil myself.
So you took from your mom's situation and
correct. And my mom was always a hustler, a go-getter. I literally so in New York City, you have to get summer youth papers in order to work. And you have to get special permission to even start at 13 because really you're supposed to start working at 14. I forged my summer youth papers at 11 years old because I wanted to make money. So a lot of that stemmed from, I don't know what it's like to play princess. Like I said to you even before we started rolling, I said, I'm entering soft girl life now. Now. So I'm learning those things now. And delving into my soft girl era is what helped me to actually mend my dad and my situation and look at him with grace and say, wow, like, yeah, he messed up, but he was 18. I look at my son now. My son is 20. So if he's doing stupid stuff now, imagine mentally where my dad was at then. I learned to give him grace. But there are certain things that dads need to do for girls. And there's a certain void that can never be filled by anyone else that if you had been more present, like, for example, I'll give you an example. I remember walking down the streets of the Bronx and a guy like whistling because I was pretty, like, shh, shh, shh. And I looked, but I wasn't looking because I wanted attention. I looked out of curiosity, and my godbrother literally slapped me upside the head. He was like, you don't look towards men when they whistle towards you. You're not no damn dog. Thankfully, I had 8 godbrothers and, people to steer me in the right path. But imagine girls who feel like that's how they wanted to feel
their
loved because
validation.
dad wasn't there.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of their social media, of their social media smash, right?
And you wonder why they do all the things they do now for likes. Girls are literally walking around in lingerie every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Kaison, I wanted to circle back. I'm curious because you not having a father, and I say this like objectively speaking, not necessarily having me in your life. You had a father figure. You had father's figures, right? But you didn't have me in your life. How did that shape your trajectory in terms of your artistry, what it is that you've done in music, and how did that basically kind of like propel you forward? Because you had a bump in the road. Like I'm just as impacted, right? But you're also just as impacted. Let's talk about that. And then I also want you to talk about your artistry as well.
It definitely gave me the drive to like, you know what I'm saying, go hard. And when I found out you used to do music too, it definitely drove me up.
You keeping secrets? I didn't know that.
So
you just full of
when
talent.
I found out my dad used to make music and he was a rapper, that's when I'm like, like I said, I used to envy my dad, so I'm like, I'm definitely about to go hard. I'm Kool-Aid Jr. I'm going hard.
Okay.
I'm about to turn up. So that definitely drove me for sure. Like, it just made me want to like become a man. You know what I'm saying?
But what was the thought that you were going to get back to with Lilie?
I was going to ask you, you're the oldest sibling, right?
Yeah.
Out of all your dad,
everybody, I'm the first.
I wanted to ask you because I always ask my sisters, my older brother, my oldest sister, the oldest ones. I always ask them, do you have oldest sibling trauma? Like you feel like the weight is on you to like
That's good.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like
I fix everything.
Yeah, like
I'm responsible for everybody. And it's crazy because my mom asked me something recently and she said, but why did you feel you had to even try to be my mom?
Yeah.
So I feel like older siblings, whenever they go through any trauma, they internalize it and they feel like they have to be mother hen for everybody. Yeah. And I felt like that even in workspaces. Like even if I wasn't the supervisor, I needed to fix everything. I needed to take care of everybody. So I definitely can relate.
A lot of people don't acknowledge that the older siblings do go through like the older sibling trauma because
I was doing work. I was working overtime. Even my half siblings from my dad's side, you know, my dad was out working 4 jobs, which is why I didn't really have a big relationship with him. And I didn't understand it at the time. Now I can have grace for the situation. But he just assumed that he could not see me or didn't have to worry about too much because I had the good mom.
Yeah.
Right? And it's crazy.
That's interesting. I want to stay there for a second because you said that your dad felt like he didn't necessarily have to see you because you're gonna be well taken care of.
Yeah, I had
that was
the
the
good
same
mom.
notion that I had.
Yeah, I have the good mom. I have the good family.
Right.
I have a good supporting team.
You're gonna be okay.
I'm okay. I don't gotta worry about her.
Yeah, and so my absence is not going to be felt as deeply or as strongly because you have all of these supports around
me. Yep. And for the life of me, I couldn't see it his way until I became an adult. And I'm like, okay, I see it. There was no malice behind it, but I definitely, as a child, felt neglect because for example, I didn't want everyone's attention. I wanted it from you. I wanted time with you. And even when he would come around with my siblings, but no, I just want time just me and you.
You want the one-on-one
I want my
time.
one-on-one. Yeah. And so he didn't understand that because his resources were very limited. No. My mom never gave me a stepdad.
How was it like for you to have a stepdad, Kaison?
I definitely want to talk about that. I get this is like a sensitive topic now that I'm older. The movie Baby Boy, the way he was with his mom's boyfriend, I would say it was just like that.
You were like that?
Yeah, like that. And as I get older, I can honestly say it was for no reason. Because my dad wasn't there and I wanted my dad, it was more so like, you're not my dad, I don't gotta listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So we just doing unnecessary things when this man don't mean no harm. He really just, he love us for real, but we just being ignorant about it because I know where my dad at. One day my dad coming home, you know what I'm saying? So I don't
you're not going to be here.
You're not
Were you hopeful that your dad would get back with your mom or you just didn't want another man occupying that space in your household?
I was hopeful. I was hopeful in that as well too. So like there would be times, you know, we would like throw it in his face, you know, because my mom and him, like they have a good relationship, like good co-parenting. So, and we see it, you know, firsthand as kids and stuff. So we kind of like, you know, rubbing his face, like my dad coming home one day, they gonna be together. You're not gonna be here for a long time. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we used to tell him like, oh, I can't wait till my dad come home. My dad gonna do this to you, you know what I'm saying? But like,
is he still in the picture?
Yeah, my stepdad is still in the picture. And like as I get older, so like, and I have an older stepdad, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, as I get older and I'm a man who I am today, it kind of hurts me because we didn't have to do that to him at all. And I get real like sensitive to him because like he really don't mean no harm, and he would literally do anything for us. But like I said, we want our dad. I want my mom and my dad to be together. I don't want you to, you know what I'm saying? But there's times when my mom can't come through and he's coming through and all that stuff, but I'm not realizing that because I'm a kid and I'm so immature and young-minded about it, because I don't want you to buy these sneakers. I want my dad to buy these sneakers. I want to give my dad the credit. That's what it was. We didn't want to give him the credit. I wanted to,
not realizing you were so blessed to have him.
That's what it was. That's what it was. I wanted to give my dad the credit, and like that, I'm real sensitive about that.
Did you ever have this conversation with your stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I remember times like my stepdad would really be like, when we would like get into it with him, he would be hurt about it, like real hurt. Like he'd be like, damn, kid, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a grown man, to see a grown man hurt, when a grown man hurt, they hurt for real. But as a kid, you're not seeing it for real. But he just like, damn, like, why y'all treating me like this? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
that's love.
Yeah, that's love right there. And like, I used to tell him like, yo, my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like to this day, like when we be around the house and stuff, like I always like look out for him. You know, I be trying to repay him back for all the, you know, bad time, but he never like, he don't like hold that in and, you know, keep it as a grudge. He let everything go, and he just continued with the next day. So yeah.
When he stepped into that situation with you and, you know, your mom and your siblings, it's almost like he knew what he was walking into.
That's what I'm saying. Right. I can only imagine how he felt, you know what I'm saying? Knowing like, I'm dealing with somebody who got 3 kids, they not my kids, knowing she possibly still love her baby father. We live together. You supposed to be my girl. The phone ringing, the caller ID pop up on the screen is unavailable. I know my dad calling. We on the phone. I'm passing my mom the phone. You know, as a man, that's supposed to be his girl. So it's like, he in an uncomfortable space at the same time too, but we wasn't looking at it like that.
Did you feel any guilt for loving him? Was it guilt? Like, did you feel as a child, if I love this man and I appreciate him, is it wrong? Am I being a traitor to my dad?
For sure.
Imagine having that guilt.
For sure, like 100%. Like, anything he did, like I said, I didn't want to give him the credit, even though I know it was the right thing. Like, and you know when somebody do something, you could feel the joy in your heart, like you know what I'm saying?
It's undeniable.
It's undeniable, but I'm hiding it from him so bad, and my older brother is too. Like to this day, my older brother, like he tries to hide it, but I know deep down he love that man. Like to this day, like if you ask 8-year-old me, 14-year-old me, do you love him? No. I'm telling, no, that ain't my dad. Like, I was honestly embarrassed to say that I had a stepdad.
Wow.
I didn't like, he would come pick us up. Like, I don't want to get in the car with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like, because everybody know my dad in jail, but it's just like, we resented him. Like, I didn't want, you know, to be
it's almost
connected
like
to you.
You resent his presence.
His presence, yeah.
Because you appreciate you because my absence.
Yeah.
Right. You resent somebody's presence because of somebody else's absence.
And then on top of that, he has to also factor in your stature.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does this man even add up?
Does he add up to
even though my dad's away, he's still that.
In the mind of a child, it's almost like how we have a tendency to deify somebody when they are killed. Yeah. When they pass away, right? We treat those people better posthumously than we do in person.
So good.
The same Lilie that I have the opportunity to love on and care for and show grace for now, I don't do that. But when you leave, oh, I love her so much. She was the best thing since sliced bread, so on and so forth. I'm gonna be honest with you. I almost feel like, Lilie, I had this conversation with my therapist. I told my therapist that I almost feel like my children, especially my girls, would feel better if I was gone than by me being here. I feel like there would be a degree of celebration more with me out of the picture, right?
I can see why.
Right? Like, because that notion of when people are not here, we don't appreciate them. And
to add on to you, the relationship with them was stronger when he was away.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could see it. I could see it. That's why I said it's different with girls.
Do
and
you
boys.
feel like, and now I'm asking you a question, do you feel that you being home forces them, especially because you don't have the common I'm home story for most people? You've done a lot. Do you feel that it forces them to have to actually face their trauma, deal with it, as opposed to having an excuse?
I'm gonna tell you something. So the reason why I've done a lot, that's part and parcel the stuff with my children that's been unresolved. It's driven that. I threw myself into work. Remember earlier, I talked about when I first came home, I just want to be around my kids. Now I felt like the rejection issues that I have, the abandonment issues that I have from my parents not necessarily being there, right? That showed up as a parent. So I'm rejected over here. I feel abandoned over here. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my foot on the accelerator and I'm going to go super hard. I'm going to go super hard for other children whose parents are incarcerated. I'm going to love on other children who, in effect are smashing my emotional like button, right? Hence the reason why I spend a lot of time with, cousins, nieces, nephews, etc., right? Because they're smashing that like button.
I feel like too, a lot of your accomplishments, the way you blew up fast, they wasn't expecting. Well, I can't speak for me, but it was my others. I feel like they wasn't expecting him to blow up and accomplish a lot of things. So that was even more like a kind of a slap in the face, like, okay, like how you just said, oh, I'm gonna do this for other people. Then it's like, oh, you blew up. Now you this? Oh, we don't like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
And it's one of those things where when it's shameful to say this, and even as I want to preface what it is I'm going to say by mentioning that psychologically, you almost feel like it's treasonous to talk about your parents in a way that is not in this sterling, right, in this great light, or even talk about your children in a way that's not in this sterling light, right? People ask me, oh, how are your children doing? Oh, yeah, the first thing that I want to do is I want to point to their accomplishments, right? My son is doing this, my daughter's doing this, etc. And so it's almost like one of those situations where I feel like my children, and we have a growing relationship. I'll give you a very recent example. I have my firstborn child. She got married last year, and she invited me to the wedding, and he was there. And she didn't invite me to the wedding to be a participator. She invited me to the wedding to be a spectator. And she had her stepfather walk her down the aisle. My side of the family had no participation in that whatsoever. I felt so uncomfortable thereafter that I told him,
yo,
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not sticking around for this. And so the point that I'm making is that how I think that ultimately at its core, this system is designed to disrupt and devastate families.
It sure is.
Where you have a child who has a stepfather in the home, taking care of 3 kids that are not his. But this child is holding on to this notion of his father who's incarcerated, who has this reputation prior to incarceration, and I'm not going to give you credit for anything. But I would much rather glorify this guy who has this criminal pathology of everything that comes with that right? Rather than giving props and giving credit to the guy who's here, who may be a square.
Yeah, but he's
right?
That's so true.
But he's here. And that's what the system is designed to do. Look, one more thing, because we got to wrap.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that you could and want to say to me that you haven't said in all of these years, what would that be? What would that be?
Thank you.
For what?
Thank you just for, first of all, thank you for bringing me into this world. But
it was the best 30 seconds of my life.
No, but seriously, I would
maybe 45, but
I would
say thank you for my story. Like, you know, I wouldn't want it no other way. So, you know, thank you for not being there, because if you wasn't there, I wouldn't have learned other aspects in life. How to do this, how to love somebody in the long run. Even though if it wasn't there, it still came later on in life. Thank you for always being there for me. Thank you for acknowledging my accomplishments all the time. You always put me on the biggest pedestal every time. That's one thing I can say about it. You always put me on the biggest pedestal. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to tell you that one of the things that I really appreciate about you is I see that you are so much of a reflection of me, but you're your own person.
Yeah.
And when I look at the growth, we've had growing pains, and I don't think that there's any parent-child relationship out there that doesn't have growing pains. We've had growing pains, but I've seen you level out, and I've seen your degree of maturity. And as a father, I know that if this was the last breath that I took, I know that you're in good hands.
For sure.
I know that you're in good hands. I know that you are at a space in life where you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And not only you're going to be okay, but you're going to bring children into this world very intentionally who are going to have a different,
for sure, 100%,
different life experience
yeah.
than what you have.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. I thank you for our bond we got.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, we got motion.
Yeah.
We got motion. I learned that word not too long ago. Lilie, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate you. I appreciate the mom that you are. I see the way that you show up for your kids, even though your son is a bum.
Everybody's a bum today.
He's a bum.
Everybody's a bum.
I'm going to go to the camera. Her son be doing his thing. Listen, can I shout him out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, shout out to DJ Bim. Listen, you are not a bum.
I wasn't talking about DJ Bim. He's a bum.
They not bums. They doing their thing. Shout out to them, man. They salute, man. They doing their thing. Shout out to Lilie.
Well, look, I appreciate having you on. I look forward to not just having public conversations like this, but also having private motion.
Yeah.
That keeps the conversation like this moving in our lives. Until next time, this is your host, Louis L. Reed. I'm here with my girl,
First Lady Lilie.
And
Big Gucci.
You know what it is, man. Illmatic Podcast. Peace. We out.